Hello 108 students, Mr. McHugh back here with you. Continuing our work on section 2.1, and we're going to tackle page 3 here. So what's nice about the book, and I encourage you to spend time using your book, hopefully you bought one or use the online version of it, the electric version, whatever you want to call it. They summarize steps here for you, and I try to do that in my class notes too. So what's nice about here, the problems we've just done here, you can kind of look at steps here, and whenever you see fractions, you want to clear the fractions. This is just a summary table here. Once you've done that, or if you've had decimals, multiply to clear out the decimals. Number two would be to simplify each step. You're going to use the distributive property or combine like terms, CLT, combine like terms. Next step, as you work your way down, you're going to isolate the variable. You're going to combine it by using the addition or subtraction property of equality. And finally, you're going to isolate your variable by the division property of equality. And think of the closer when I say that. Finally, step 5, I don't have time to do these usually, but you can always check your answer, the value you get for x, take it and move it, put it back up into the original equation and make sure it's a true statement that the left side will equal the right side. Okay, now I'll just say this for you. With MyMathLab, you can hit the check answer button and it's going to tell you right away. You can save a little bit of time, but keep that technique when you take quizzes. Before you hit your submit your answer, you can go ahead and check your solution by taking the value for x, putting it back in the original, and see if it makes it a true statement. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and look at objective number 5 here. This concept here. Usually when we solve for algebra equations, we're almost always doing condition number 1, which is you have one solution. X equals 3. Okay. Almost all of our work is done like that, but there are a few cases of algebra equations, and you can't tell this, you have to work them out, that there turns out to be many solutions. And there also are cases where there are no solutions. Now you might ask, well, how does this happen? Look at the names. Identity is many, contradiction is none. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to solve and use your algebra principles and properties to isolate your x variable, and it's going to drop out. It's going to, first time it happens to you, it scares the heebie-jeebies out of you. You go back, you check all your work, and like, what did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong. It turns out that the variables will drop out, and when it drops out at the end of the steps, either you're going to get a true statement with like 3 equals 3, which tells you there's many solutions, or you're going to get a false statement, such as 3 equals 4, and you'll go, that's not true. And that's when you know you've got a contradiction and there's no solutions. You get a statement where 3 equals 3, you're like, duh, then that's an identity and you have many solutions. Okay, so let's work up a couple examples here. The first one, again, you can't tell until you start working through them, so turn around, ask yourself, now this should look familiar to you, so talk to me. What are you going to do here? What do you see first? Okay, hopefully you said distributive property, right? 4 times x, 4x. 4 times minus 3, minus 12. Okay, can you combine like terms on each side? No, they're different terms. So can you combine the x terms? I see 4x and 5x. Minus 4x on both sides moves the 4x over. What's the result? 4x minus x is what? 1x. Bring down to minus 9. This is a 0. It goes away for you. Minus 12 comes down. What can you do to isolate the x term? Take the minus 9, take the opposite of it, add 9 to both sides, and you're left with 1x equals 3. 1 times x is x, so you're left with x equals negative 3. And there's your solution set with the brackets. Okay, now, excuse me, going crazy here. That's all we got to do for this page. We've got one more page to do on page 4, and we're going to cover the identity and a contradiction. Okay, that's all for now, so I'll see you on page 4.